Hi guys, welcome back to Elephants in the Room. My name is Nicole. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining. We talk about all of the elephants in the room on this podcast, and we just talk about life and how life is so confusing and so messy. And as we navigate through this crazy thing we call life, I sit with you guys and talk very vulnerably about my experiences with life, things I'm going through, things I'm struggling with, things I'm trying to figure out, and just learning how to be a human. So I hope you guys are doing well. I know that I missed a week and you got the last episode late. My brain's like not working right now. But thank you for being here. And again, I kind of opened up about it last week, but I've been going through a lot of personal stuff, and I felt like it's been so hard for me to really show up and be present with you guys. So that's what's going on. But I'm really excited about today's episode, and I'm going to walk through this with honesty and vulnerability, and like I'm navigating this, I feel like, as of right now. So I just want to talk about it because I feel like it's something that I am starting to realize and starting to be like, oh, wow, okay, this is a thing. So how do I work through it? So today we are going to be talking about looking for the right things in the wrong places. So at 26, guys, I definitely feel like I feel more numb and more like unable to function as a human than I felt in many earlier years in my life. Like it almost feels like the older I get, the more I struggle to like learn how to like be a human, how to be an adult, how to like have work-life balance, how to like function, how to just be, to exist. And like also I feel like as you get older, and we've talked about this before, but there's a lot more pressure to feel like you have your life figured out, quote unquote, or that like you have, just yourself figured out. And I just find myself doing things that I don't want to do. And I find myself not doing the things that I love and not being able to find joy in the things that I love, and kind of feeling empty, kind of feeling numb, just feeling kind of like a failure, feeling unmotivated, uninspired, uncreative, just like this lack of creativity, this lack of passion, this lack of like eagerness for the world. And it's sad because every day of our lives is a gift. Life is so precious, and it is hard to feel like I just can't find my groove. And I just think recently I felt like even just the simplest tasks have felt really challenging, and I've just kind of felt weird. I don't know how to describe it, just very weird. Now, I think, again, we have to remember that so oftentimes when we are feeling numb and when we are feeling disconnected from ourselves and disconnected from just things, it's oftentimes because we are going through something. And I know for me, it's really hard to be really present with myself when I'm going through something, because sometimes my emotions are too much for me. So it's like my coping mechanism now that I've kind of recently feel like I've developed is kind of to avoid and to distract and to numb myself, because I know like if I'm really super present with myself, I have to like deal with what's going on inside of me. And sometimes that just feels so overwhelming. So like subconsciously, I just distract myself and numb myself. I feel like I've just kind of realized in a lot of ways, and I think in general, people, we look for good things in the wrong places. And so naturally we all have desires, naturally we all have needs. And so I think when we have that need, when we have that desire, whatever it's for connection, for security, for love, for validation, like for whatever it is that we're looking for acceptance. None of those things are bad to desire or to need. But I think in this world and where things are now with technology and social media and just everything, we can so often look for those things in the wrong places. And the problem is that it always leaves us feeling empty and it never actually satisfies. And so you guys know, I mean, we live in a world now where everything is at the tip of our fingers. If we want to know something, we can go to ChatGPT or Google and search up anything, any answer to any question. We have taken out so much of the work that us as humans have to do to problem solve. Like problem solving is so easy now because it's like every problem has been solved and we just have to do a quick search and then the problem is solved. And it's crazy because like back in the day, you know, in school or like when we wanted to learn about anything, the older generation would have to like go to the library and rent out like 4 books and like read those books to find the answers to the questions that they had. And there was this journey that they had to go on to get that thing or get that answer. Same thing with our dopamine, like to receive dopamine, we have to complete a task like going and exercising or whatever it is. And nowadays we have these things, which is sitting right next to me, of course, lovely, that just immediately give us dopamine. And it's just like so sad because I feel like the world has gotten to a place where we've made everything so easy on ourselves that now everything is so hard. It's so hard to do anything. It's so hard to complete anything. It's so hard to problem solve. And I literally feel like my brain is like fried. Like I feel like I need a factory reset on my brain and my dopamine because I just feel like I've had such a hard time doing the most simple thing and feeling motivated to do it. And it makes me so sad because there's such like a good dopamine that comes from actually achieving things and actually doing hard things and actually applying ourselves. But it is so easy to drown ourselves out with these quick fixes and quick things. And this goes, for also dealing with and healing from pains or things we're going through. Like it's so easy to numb ourselves and distract ourselves and get on our phone and scroll for 6 hours and look this up and do this. And like, there's so much information. There's so much entertainment. There's so much overload around us that it's so easy to just clock out of our bodies and our brains and just pretend like we don't exist. And even though sometimes it's a positive thing and can be used as a tool to be able to kind of distract yourself and to focus on something else as you're healing, it's not good to do all the time. And I think I'm learning that. And yeah, just being honest, I've just been really struggling for this. And so I think like, we look for peace, we look for connection, we look for validation, creativity, but we just really look in the wrong places. The amount of times that I felt like this lack of creativity, and then the first thing I want to do is I want to go and like scroll and like get more creative because I want to like receive creativity from other people. And that only ever leaves me feeling not creative and leaves me feeling fried mentally. And it's truly in the times when I am alone by myself with God in the silence that I'm actually able to be creative and to create and to really connect with myself and have original ideas. And so it's so funny because it's counterintuitive to get on my phone and scroll and think that that's going to make me feel creative when it's not. But it's like I'm desperately searching for something to make me feel this way. And I'm doing the quick fix rather than the longer fix that is actually like engaging with myself, spending time with myself, spending time in nature, spending time with God, which like actually makes me creative. And I think, yeah, it's crazy because I saw this video the other day. I think I've actually talked about this before. Not the other day. I saw it like, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago. But it was talking about how to really learn how to like be more present in your life and in your own body. something to do instead of guilting and shaming yourself for doing the things that you don't want to do. So, sleeping through your workout class, or not checking off your to-do list, or scrolling on your phone instead of reading your Bible or reading a book, or whatever it is. Instead of getting mad at yourself when you notice yourself so quickly doing those things, ask yourself, like, what am I seeking right now? Because usually when we do go to these super addictive, quick hits of dopamine, whatever that is for you, there's a reason. Like, we're seeking something. And so this girl was talking about, like, sometimes when you reach for your phone and you reach to scroll, it's because you're craving connection. Maybe you feel isolated, maybe you feel lonely, so you're craving connection. So social media has a weird way of making us feel connected to people. And in a way, it's beautiful, but also we need real connection with real people in real life, right? And so it's like it kind of fills the void, and it kind of gives you what you need, but not truly. I feel like it really just leaves you feeling less connected, more isolated, more lonely. And yeah, so she was talking about that. And so she talked about how, like, when we do those things, we have to really think about, like, what are we trying to get? What are we trying to receive? Like, are you wanting to feel creative? Are you wanting to engage in a hobby? Are you wanting to have comfort? Are you wanting to have community? And whatever it is that you're trying to seek in that moment, instead of grabbing your phone and seeking that quick hit of that, or vice versa, getting on ChatGPT or Google and searching something up, why not go searching for it in real life? Why not go and read that book to find that answer? Why not go outside and go on a nice walk and get some fresh air? Why not call up a friend and see if they can come over and, like, hang out with them in real life? Like, why not go and do a hobby that will actually make you feel productive and make you feel like you're doing something? And so it's like, she talked about how it's important to start to switch out and change out these quick fixes for the real fix. And now that's a lot easier said than done. But yeah, it just made me think about, like, when we are doing these things, these temporary fixes that make us feel good in the moment temporarily and then make us feel worse after, it's because there is a need, there's a desire there. Like, we are needing something, but we're supplementing it with the wrong thing. I thought of, like, you guys know, in, like, fruit juices and, like, different drinks and stuff, or candy, like, you'll often see, like, natural flavors. Instead of, like, putting actual blueberry in there or actual raspberry, they'll say, like, natural flavors. Like in sparkling water, it usually is sweetened with natural flavors. And it kind of tastes like blueberries, right? So it's kind of makes you feel like you're getting the blueberries, but, like, you're not actually getting the real benefits of what's in a blueberry and all of the antioxidants and all of the vitamins and all of the good things that actually come from a blueberry. You're not actually getting those things. Like, you're getting something that tastes like blueberry, but it's actually not blueberry. And so it kind of made me think of that. And it's crazy. So I was looking it up, and there's a stat that says people check their phones 96 times per day, almost every 10 minutes. I know I've done an episode on this before, but guys, like, our phones are one of the absolutely most addicting things literally ever. It's insane. And I think we all are addicted to different things. We all have certain idols. We all have things that we use to distract ourselves, to numb ourselves. And this is just one of them. And what I've really noticed is that when I reach for my phone the most, it's usually when I'm going through something in my life that's extremely overwhelming and I don't want to deal with it and I don't know how to deal with it. And so instead of dealing with it and sitting in silence, any moment there's silence, I just get on my phone. And I don't think I've realized how bad it was until the last couple weeks, because I've been, again, going through something super intense. And my body has just been in fight or flight. And then when it came out of it, it's just been so exhausted. And so it's so easy for me to just feel like I have no energy, nothing left to give. I feel so emotionally drained. So it's so easy to just grab my phone, but grabbing my phone just makes me feel more empty, more lonely, more overwhelmed, more anxious because I'm not being present in my day-to-day life as much as I could be, but I feel overwhelmed and I feel like I need a break. So then I just get on my phone. Now, I feel like it's not bad to need a break and it's not bad to do things to distract yourself, but the important thing and the thing that I am just trying to remind myself and work my way through is doing the things that actually will bring me joy, that actually will help me feel better. And so those things are like going on a walk, exercising, like getting my hands on something, cooking. I've been loving cooking lately. It's such a therapeutic thing for me. Hanging out with friends, like whatever it is, reading, doing these things where I'm actually getting my hands on something rather than getting my hands on my phone. And so there's a psych insight about this, and it's dopamine reward cycle. Anticipation keeps us hooked, but the high diminishes, leaving us emptier. So that's what's crazy about these dopamine hits that we get from all these little addictive things in this world is that the anticipation keeps us hooked. It's almost like every time we open our phone, we think there's going to be something different. We think there's going to be something that makes us feel some type of way, and it never does. It always lets us down. And it just, after that high diminishes, it just leaves us emptier. And I think that it's sad because I think this generation struggles more with mental health struggles and depression and anxiety more than like any generation ever. Now, part of me feels like that's because we are becoming more educated about those things, but part of me also feels like it's because of our phones. And not just our phones, but just everything in this life. There's an app for everything. There's a website for everything. Like everything, we have made every shortcut possible. Like we live in a world full of shortcuts. And as much as that's great and fun and can be utilized, it can also be to our detriment. And I just feel like I've seen that in my life. And so when we have these desires for connection, for security, for validation, for acceptance, for community, they're not bad things, and it's not bad to want those things. And we can't be mad at ourselves for seeking those things in a shortcut because that's what our generation has been set up to do. But it is seeing that we should want more because it's actually leaving us emptier and more sad. So I already kind of talked about this, but yeah, I think so oftentimes when we feel really numb and when we feel like we just can't even complete the most simple task, it's because we are so overwhelmed by what's going on internally. And so subconsciously, we do everything and anything to distract ourselves from the heaviness and from the weight of the emotions because we're scared we can't deal with them or we don't know how to deal with them. So we're overwhelmed by what's going on with us internally. And so just to be able to get by and just to be able to distract ourselves, we reach for these quick fixes, these distractions, these things. But the sad thing is they just leave us more overwhelmed and more anxious because they take us more out of reality. They take us out of connection with ourselves because truly to be able to be present and connected to yourself, you have to be able to sit in silence. You have to be able to sit with your emotions. And unfortunately, to be able to start healing and dealing with what you're going through, you have to sit with it. And it's ugly and it's painful and it's sad to be able to have to sit with what we're dealing with, especially when we feel like we can't handle it. But that is part of healing. That's part of working through things, is like actually sitting with these things. And it sucks. It sucks. But I fear that we live in a world where we just numb ourselves out so much. And part of the danger with that is the more we numb ourselves out and the more we suppress these emotions, the more exhausted we become, the more disconnected we become from ourselves and from reality. And it's so sad because it's so hard. And I get it. And at 26, as someone who's been in therapy for years and feels like she has learned so many tools, it is so much easier said than done. It is so much easier to say you're going to do the hard thing and do the thing that's actually good for you and to do the thing that just makes you feel good and the thing that's not actually good for you. It's hard. It's so hard. So there's something called experimental avoidance, and it's when we numb to escape our emotions, but suppressing emotions increases stress hormones like cortisol. And then when we're stressed, we then become anxious, and when we're anxious, we then become sad, and it's just this cycle. I feel like it's this just this burnt out numbing cycle where we don't do the things we want to do. We don't have the energy to even do the simplest tasks. And then we get so discouraged because we feel so bad about ourselves that we just continue suppressing, continue numbing, continue distracting until we lead ourselves into such a dark, deep hole, and we feel so disconnected from ourselves, and we feel like failures, and we feel so incredibly unpresent in our own lives. And it's just like stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks on top, and we kind of get into this rut, and it's so hard to get out of these ruts. It's really hard, and it's really hard to stay consistent. I think that's one thing that I've just struggled with so much in my life is just consistency. Like, I know how to do good things. I know how to have good habits, but it is really hard to keep those habits and to keep those things moving when you are going through hard things. And I think too, just when you are going through hard things in your life and when you're going through pain, breakups, friendship breakups, hard family stuff, whatever it is that you're going through, work stuff, like anything that is emotionally overwhelming to your nervous system, it's hard to know how to just operate. And, sometimes it just feels like we're just doing the best we can, but it just never feels like enough. And I am obviously a huge advocate for giving yourself grace and space as you work through hard life things. But I think on the same coin, we have to remember that really loving ourselves and really, really taking care of ourselves means also doing the hard things that we don't want to do, because we know that they actually produce joy, they produce peace. And all these quick fixes and distractions and suppressing our emotions and numbing ourselves and running away from reality, even though they may feel good in the moment, they actually lead us into darker, sadder places. And so I feel like the balance between those things is so hard to navigate. And if you feel like you've been struggling, I want you to know you're not alone, because it's so hard. And resilience isn't about bouncing back perfectly. It's about adapting while acknowledging pain. I think, again, when you become an adult, one of the things you realize is that there's always going to be something going on. There's always going to be something that you are going through. There's always going to be something that's causing you pain. There's going to be so much grief and loss in your life and so much disappointment. And you have to learn how to continue to operate while you're actively working through those things. And sometimes you don't have the energy, the time, or the space to work through them. And somehow you have to still show up and be a functioning human amidst them. That is one of the hardest things to balance. Knowing how much energy to give and acknowledgement to give to these pains that you're experiencing, while also being an adult and showing up in your day-to-day life and giving your time and your energy to your work, to your family, to your friends, to your relationships. It is one of the trickiest things to navigate, because there's never going to be a time in your life where everything is perfect, where nothing is going wrong. There's usually always something going on. There's always something stressing you out. There's always something that you're experiencing. And I feel like what I'm learning is that being an adult is learning how to have joy amidst it, but also how to just function amidst it. And it's really hard. It's really hard. And I think there's a pressure we feel as adults to know exactly how to do it and to know exactly how to operate and to know exactly how to balance it. And I just want to tell you, just because you're an adult and just because you're getting older doesn't mean you're going to have it all figured out. Like, life is always hard. Now, that doesn't mean it's not beautiful. There doesn't mean there's not good parts of life. It doesn't mean we should have a negative attitude all the time as we walk through these things. But the balance between operating in joy while also acknowledging the pain and the hurt and the stress is so, so hard to navigate. And if you feel like you're drowning, I just want you to know that you're not alone. And then I want to talk about this like burnout and failure cycle that I feel like I've been living in, especially the last couple weeks as I've been going through everything I'm going through. I feel like I first avoid a task or avoid dealing with an emotion or a thing because it feels overwhelming. And then when I avoid it, I feel shame. And then when I feel shame, I feel like a failure. And then I avoid it more because I feel like a failure. And then the cycle just repeats until I wake up and I say, I have to stop and I have to apply myself. And it's not going to be perfect, but so oftentimes more than not, once I actually do or deal with the thing I don't want to deal with, I actually feel the relief that I'm so desperately looking for in all the wrong things. And research shows that suppressing feelings or avoiding hard things depletes problem-solving ability. I don't know if you guys feel like this, but I have started to struggle so hard with problem solving. I feel like I am just like, how do I not know how to like problem solve and work through things? And why do I get so overwhelmed by just the simplest things? And it's been so frustrating because I'm like, Nicole, like, how do you not know this? You're 26 years old. And oh my gosh, the balance of the pressures of life and the pressures of how we feel like we're supposed to be at a certain age and all the things, it just feels so overwhelming sometimes. But unfortunately, procrastination gives temporary relief but long-term anxiety. And if that isn't true, and yeah, I've just felt like, gosh, I just need like a factory reset on my brain. I need a factory reset on my dopamine levels. Like I feel like I need to strip back some of these things that give me immediate relief, and I need to be able to work towards things that actually give me relief and actually give me peace and actually give me joy and actually give me the real version of whatever it is I'm seeking for. And this is also something we do in relationships. Like we look for the right things in relationships or in people and through people, when a lot of those things, like we have to receive them from us, from ourselves. Like I spent a long time of a lot of my life looking for security in my relationships, and all to realize that I needed to find that security within myself and within my relationship with the Lord. And I spent so long looking for acceptance and validation and all these things about myself in relationships. Then I had to realize, oh, Nicole, that has to come from you. Like you are responsible for that. And so it's not that that was a wrong thing to desire, but I was looking for it in the wrong place. And I think that it's just so hard to navigate. You would almost think that in a world today that we have all this information available, you would almost think that it'd be like easier to like solve life and figure life out and like know how to be an adult. But I feel like it makes it harder because it's just like information overload all the time. There's so much out there. There's so much. And yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And I think we just live in such an overstimulating world. And I think I've just felt so overstimulated. And overstimulation down-regulates dopamine. Baseline pleasure goes down. So regular life feels boring or exhausting. Do you guys feel like your life has felt boring or exhausting? Because I have felt that. And I felt like I have not been able to find as much joy in the mundane things that I love doing because my dopamine feels like it's just like whacked out because of all the quick fixes. And that's why I feel like I need to do a factory reset on my brain. It's just crazy. It's just crazy how times have changed. And I think, I've just been feeling numb. I've been feeling drained. I've been feeling all different types of ways. And rightly so. Like I said, I've been going through a lot emotionally that has been so terrible. I've been going through family stuff, other personal stuff with friends, and it's been crazy. Like so much of my life has changed in just the last couple months, and especially in the last couple weeks. But I just am realizing like I have to prioritize and love myself enough to choose to do the things that actually bring me joy and that actually bring me healing. And it's not in the quick fixes and it's not in the distractions. It's in being really present in my life and being so much less focused on all this artificial connection and all of these quick fixes. It's about me actually doing the work. It's about me doing the little things every day. It's about showing up for myself every single day and not giving so much of my life to these really addictive things that are around me. And so I want to talk about like some practical reset advice, because if you guys feel like you need a reset, I want to offer you guys some, not only advice, but just offer some insight to kind of what I feel like I'm going to do to try to start resetting my brain and resetting my life and kind of getting out of this funk that I'm in. Because life is too short and it's too precious to waste doing the things that don't actually bring us joy or peace. And I just want to really learn how to get away from the way that the world is and the way that the world lives and start to do things a little bit differently with a little bit more balance. Okay, so the first thing that I'm doing is I'm obviously working on doing some type of social media break and or detox. Now, I am not going to be unrealistic because sometimes when I set goals, I'm unrealistic and then I fail at them and then I feel like a failure and then it pushes me to not do them. So I want to do something that's actually realistic. So I actually bought recently something called a brick. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. So my friend actually told me about it. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about it. Because as I look it up on my phone. Okay, so it's literally like this little hard brick. This is a little bit of why they started Brick, the brand or the company. So it says, our smartphones are our greatest tools and our most crippling distractions. They can help us connect with those across the world, but in doing so can hinder our connection with those across the room. They can help us supercharge our productivity and they can constantly distract us from our meaningful work. So it's these two college graduates who made it, but yeah, so it's literally like this little brick and you can like put certain settings on it to say like, okay, this is how long I get social media per day or how many hours or whatever. And then you can't actually like usually with like social media timers or like blockers, you just type in a code and then you're able to get on there again. But this one, like you actually have to physically tap the brick. So like, let's say you're out and about and you want to get on social media, but you've already reached your limit. You cannot use it till you go home and like physically tap the brick. And then you can obviously set it to like not work overnight or whatever. And so my friend, Maddie, she actually came on the podcast to talk about hormone health like a year ago. You guys loved that episode, but she recently got one and she said she loves it and it's been helping her so much with her phone. And so I bought one for me and David. I bought both of us one. So I'm going to try to use the brick to help me just set boundaries around my social media use because I love social media and it's part of what I do for work. And obviously I post short clips on my podcast channels and all the things. Like it's a part of one of the greatest gifts that I've been given from the Lord to be able to share what I love and to do what I love. But it can also just be a place where I numb myself and distract myself. And I don't want it to be that. I want it to be a supplement to my life. I don't want it to take my life, and I don't want to be more focused on being connected online than to being connected in real life. And so especially with everything I've been going through emotionally, I feel like I just need to kind of cut the things off in my life that aren't actually bringing me joy and peace. And social media is definitely one of those things. So I'm going to be using the brick. Now, I think the brick is like $50 if you guys wanted to go and buy one. This isn't sponsored or anything, but I will let you guys know if I like it and if it's something that really helps me balance it more in my life. But we'll see. So that is one thing I'm doing. And then I think, just learning to replace quick fixes with real life acts. So when you reach for your phone or when you reach for whatever it is that's your vice, we all have a million of them. Our phones are just one that we can probably all relate on, but we all have different things that we use to distract ourselves, to numb ourselves, to feel good temporarily, these quick fixes, to solve problems quick. When we reach for those things, I want you to ask yourself, what am I seeking right now? What am I wanting right now? Am I wanting connection? Am I wanting support? Am I wanting validation? Am I wanting to be heard? What am I seeking right now? Am I bored? Am I tired? Like, what am I trying to gain from doing whatever I'm doing? And if there's something you can replace it for that can help you be more present in your life, and that's not a quick fix, that's actually something that's good and real, try to replace it for that. So like, I know for me, if I'm really overwhelmed or I have racing thoughts, it's easy for me to, again, just want to sit down and scroll my life away. But something that actually really helps me is going on a walk. Going on walks usually clear my head. I love to turn on like classical music or jazz music or even worship music and just walk. And it really helps me to focus on the trees, on the sky, on the sun. And usually it helps me to like actually clear my mind a little bit. And so like that's a great one. Or if I am kind of lonely and I haven't been around people and I get on my phone to try to feel connected, I can call a friend or I can go to a friend's house. Whatever it is, like trying to replace these quick fixes with real life acts. And so I think, yeah, if I'm feeling a lack of creativity, getting in the kitchen and making something or whatever, like expressing myself in any way, like finding something to do that gets my hands tangibly on something. So I think that is one of the things I'm going to be doing in this little reset that I want to be doing, is to just try to replace those quick fixes with real life acts. And then just celebrate the small wins. Listen, I think we all have our vices and addictions more than we would like to admit. All of us struggle with numbing ourselves. All of us struggle with not completing the things that we set our minds to. We all do things we don't want to do. We all do things that are bad for us. We're human, but it is important to love ourselves enough to want more for ourselves. And I think that's where I'm at. And I think I just feel very numb and no motivation, lack of creativity. I just feel like I'm in this rut. And so to get myself out of this rut, I feel like I need to do kind of this little reset. But part of that is celebrating the small wins. So don't beat yourself up. Don't feel like you need to have it all figured out tomorrow. Don't feel like you're ever going to have it figured out, because you won't, but celebrate your little small wins that you have. And I feel like the next thing is just mindfulness. So really being engaged with your own progress, with yourself, with your emotions, like really, really writing things down, journaling, praying. That's something that always helps me be really present with what I'm going through, because I can't like not show up authentically to God. Like I'm going to show up as myself. And so when I'm speaking these things outward, whether I'm writing them down in my journal or I'm praying, that always helps me. So I feel like that's something that we can do in our little reset, sitting with emotions instead of suppressing them. That is something I'm really trying to do, is when I feel any type of way, I'm like, Nicole, can you just sit with this and just process it for a second instead of trying to run from it? And again, that's been hard, but that's something I'm going to try to do on my little reset. And again, I just want to remind you, it's not about throwing away our phones or throwing away all of our idols or throwing away all of our addictions. I'm not saying obviously, if your addiction's bad, you shouldn't do. But I'm saying like throwing away all these things that are quick hits of dopamine, or never using Google or ChatGPT, or never using the short, the quick answers to things. Like all of these things that we live with modern day can be used as tools, and they can be good, but we have to make sure we balance them and we don't let them take over our life to the point where we're not even present in our own life, and where we're not even problem solving in our own life, and where we're accepting the artificial version of real life needs that we have for connection and for love and all these different things. So it's about balance, letting them, using them, but not letting them use us. Okay? If that makes sense. Yeah, I just think when we're going through hard things, we just want to feel okay. And it's easy to grab and reach for these things that give us temporary relief. And you're not a failure for that. You're not dumb for that. You're human. But I think as a society, we need to really, really start to learn how to do hard things, to be present in our own lives and in our own emotions, and to problem solve without all these distractions in the way. Because I think we're now getting to a place where we are all a little empty, a little numb, and a little bit like just kind of paralyzed because of how our world is now and how things work. And again, not to say that any of these things are bad things, but if used improperly, I feel like they can be. And so I think I'm just learning that I just really want to be more engaged in my life, more present in my life, and really, really, really just learn how to break through looking for the right things in the wrong places and start really seeking them in the right places. Because oftentimes it's about the pursuit and it's about the journey. It's not actually about getting there. It's about what happens to you in the in-between. And so I think these things that we live with nowadays, they kind of, they take away the in-between. They just get us right to the end instead of walking us through the journey to get to the end. And then we are just lifeless and drained and empty, and kind of like we don't even have to turn on our brains. And I think it's important to turn on our brains, and it's important to challenge ourselves, and it's important to work through things. It's important to be present. And so I just really want that in my life. And so, yeah, I just want to encourage you guys, if you guys have been feeling super disconnected from yourself and super disconnected from life, I encourage you to go on this little reset with me. I'll keep you guys posted, let you know how it goes. Obviously, the first thing I'm doing is the brick. And I'm going to see how that impacts my mental health, how that impacts my energy levels, all the things, and just do things that are really, really good for me and that may be hard in the moment, but will actually bring me joy and peace and love and all the things that I crave. So I love you guys so much. Please let me know what you guys want me to talk about in these next coming episodes. I really, really, really want to start doing more guest episodes. That's something I've been feeling excited about and passionate about. And I have been feeling like, again, such a lack of creativity here in this space and knowing what to share with you guys and what to walk through with you guys. So please let me know what it is you guys want me to talk about and certain subjects and things that you feel like are elephants in the room that don't get talked about. And if there's any guests that you guys really want me to have on the podcast, let me know. And yeah, I love you guys so, so much. You guys know if you want to support me, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You follow me on all my socials at Elephants in the Room. You can share this podcast with a friend, share it on your story, leave me a comment, leave me a review. That all helps. And yeah, I love you guys so much. I'll close this episode out by saying what elephants are in your room. My name is Nicole, and I'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks.